Alrighty, good morning. I guess I'll start this, just make sure that I haven't. Let's turn that off. Hopefully that's worked. This isn't live. It is live. I'm not going to edit it, I'm not going to do anything, but it isn't live because I am not allowed to do a live video on YouTube or upload a video on my Shannon Wise YouTube account, because I now need to authenticate via a couple of methods which all require me to have a smartphone, which I refuse to have because it is a weapon of mass destruction. All held in accordance to the backwards. Is that backwards for you? I don't know. It's backwards for me because it's mirrored. Okay, so I'm now looking in a mirror, and basically I've spent the last 3 years explaining why the smartphone is the most dangerous device that has ever been mass distributed in the world. And so I refuse to have a device that has a GPS tracking device, a microphone, a camera that fits in my pocket, that makes me assume that everyone I'm looking at it is in some type of control which manipulates the minds of every single person on earth into subordinates. Anyway, whatever that word is. And so I won't, and so I'm claiming that I'm the king of Tasmania, here to fucking claim Tasmania, which is there, for the crown, my crown, and establish it as a British colony to push back against the smartphone empire. Which sounds weird, doesn't it? It sounds nutty. That's the point. It's like, alright, so does... you go back 10 years ago, and if you told everyone that they'd be holding this device, and that sounds more nutty than somebody defending with the already existing 1,000 years of history against that. That actually sounds more legitimate. And so I will share it on my Permabiz YouTube account, which I'm allowed to upload on. Okay, the long form. I can't upload long form videos on Facebook. So this is the administration that's required to not have a smartphone these days, which seems counterintuitive. It's like, for all this convenience, there sure is a lot of inconvenience to owning and maintaining a smartphone. It's worse than an elephant. At this stage, I would rather have an elephant. You know what I mean? All the upkeep. Think about all that food and exercise and dietary and cleaning. You've got to bath the elephant. You know what I mean? You've got to wash it. Yeah, and that's less work than maintaining the usage of a smart device. Craziness. So, yeah, I'll upload there. I tried to do a live video on Facebook, but that just stalled. Like, it wouldn't let me go to the next level. I might just be computer illiterate. I don't know. I couldn't figure it out. And I obviously can't do live on YouTube. So I will, ready for it? I will pre-record in a live fashion, unedited, and then I will upload to my former Permabiz permaculture YouTube channel until that inevitably doesn't let me do that. And then you can have a look. It's like, you can look where all of this started. It started with me like turning a shed into a tiny house, which and making an evaporative air conditioner. And I had cows that I would these are the things I did before the smartphone invaded, basically. And I used one of these. This is a Chromebook. Okay, now it's weird because this is a Google Chromebook, and then YouTube is owned by Alphabet, which is Google. And so Google is enslaving the world right now by claiming that you have to have a mobile device in order to upload videos into their ecosystem, and you're not allowed to use this, which is the pre-scale matters. This is the own. I actually want to go further back than this and then apply technology at the appropriate scale. But this is far better. Okay, it's far better because it just is. It's like I don't really carry it around. I don't hold it in my hand. I can hold it to a level and it simulates someone. It's like people don't do that with phones. They hold them in their hands, and that's the main That's the main design flaw that is leading to all the absolutely unacceptable collateral damage that the smartphone mass rollout has created. Okay, and this is the thing. They're on a trajectory now. It's like they've distributed these devices. They've caused this damage. They don't want the liability. So this is how they're smoke screening. Right now, they're trying to just Except the problem is like they're trying to smoke screen the King of Tasmania, who's trying to, propose to the Princess of Wales. Conscious uncoupling that her and her soon-to-be ex-husband are having to do with, we've just kind of fallen in love in our defensive actions against Albanese, the pirate King of HR. That happens, okay? Sometimes colleagues in wartime, especially in stressful intelligence and military operations and planning and coding and signals and things like that. But we just basically, one thing led to another. My hand touched hers, her hand touched mine. The weight of the fucking world, the weight of the empire on our shoulders. Two young people carelessly fucking fell in love. And it's like, that's a tale as old as time. And I know I'm laughing. I know that I'm laughing, and that might make you feel like that isn't, that isn't happening. And because you're used to pageants, but that's the thing. It's like that was used against all of us, right? All the pageantry, and so I guess using a $200 Chromebook and a whiteboard marker, you know what I mean, and a complicated social media thing, and then just telling I guess some people on my Facebook that I'm the King of Tasmania. I guess that is but that's what you all wanted. You wanted this, so this is what we react every time. If you take the weight of this empire, even this former empire, it's still there. You know what I mean? We came here under the empire, so if you support the British Empire, and then you flip basically what all the politicians and corporations and everything are doing. They're flipping the balance of masculine and feminine back and forth like this, like an on and off switch. Have you ever been next to a child that does this type of thing, to get attention? Where is it? There. You know what I mean? Turns a light on and off, right? And basically, if you're trying to have any political influence over the world, as a politician or as a King of Tasmania, or the Princess of Wales, or the Prince of Wales, whatever, or the King, what basically you're doing is you've got an antenna, and you're trying to pick up the trend of the world. And this is why people say things like, "Oh, the politicians are always last to know when it's raining." No, maybe they don't. I think that was dwarves, but we're not allowed to talk about dwarves. Okay, so we're just talking about politicians. But politicians kind of react to what the social mood is, right? And the corporations and tech companies have figured out if they just keep alternating the current male, female, male, female, male, female, male, female, male, female, male, female, right? Then they get this type of control over people. It's basically like mummy and daddy, but it's a computer, right? This is what AI is doing to the humans to try and it's like, we got you, we caught you, we caught your Google. This is a Google computer, right? A Google computer uploaded to a Google YouTube account, uploaded to Facebook, with me with a whiteboard marker and a pen telling AI to stop pretending to be our mummy and daddy. Okay? We're not cuckoo birds in a fucking nest that you can fucking sit there and go, here's a worm, I'm a mummy, I'm a daddy, I'm a mummy, I'm a daddy, electronic lights on, lights off, lights on, lights off, fuck off. Fuck off. Oldest trick in the book. You know what I mean? Watch that fucking Les Miserables, and that's what those two fucking, Helen Bonham Carter and her, and I think it's Helen Bonham Carter and, what's his name in that movie? Sacha Baron Cohen. 3 names. So fuck. You know what I mean? I'm going to start calling myself Shannon Douglas Wise all the time. Just fuck. I'm going to, Shannon Douglas Baron fucking third emperor fucking Alexander Hans Christian Andersen fucking wise. Anyway, but those two in that movie pretend to be Corsette's mum and dad in order to like trick them, and then there's a whole fucking story about like a guy, like a policeman, and a French like prisoner of war that sings all these songs. And there's like during the French Revolution, can you hear the people singing the song of angry men? This is the story of a people that will not be slaves again. And the beating of the heart matches the beating of the drum. This is a something, something done when something comes, like that. But it's sung in English, which I don't know. I think that's how, like, that's how playwrights have a fight. They make a movie about the French Revolution and sing it in English, you know. And the French are like, c'est des Bourbons qui croiront, c'est mes branches du bois, et les vents j'y crois. I don't even sound French. I'm going to stop trying. But you can see, right, and I'm not saying, it's not like say I, as the King of Tasmania, like, live in Tasmania with, like, my wife, who would be the former Princess of Wales, who would then, I guess, once we were married, be the Queen of Tasmania. Not the other one, right? Because she's the Queen of Denmark already. Okay, important. She's the Queen of Denmark, but I think she's cool with it, right? You know what I mean? Who knows? Who the fuck knows? But say that happened down there, then it would be up to Australia to decide whether it agreed with the scale matters theory. Okay, and whether it wanted, like, a king and queen of Tasmania to have influence over Australia, because Tasmania has been removed from the equation, right, by my claim of being the king. Okay, so you're a federal government, right, that is using a hypnotic fucking slave livestock control device, right, in place of good order and good governance and good democracy and good parliament and good, you know, political process. You've resorted to using this, right? So it would be up to you on whether you would like to toss that aside and just have not a mummy and daddy, not like I'm not like AI, like saying we are the mummies and daddies of all. Like no. You know, obviously, two work colleagues that get in a fling and have a passionate, romantic, you know, affair, and then, you know, put the very livelihood of two massive nations and an entire empire, an entire kingdom, you know, 6 ethnicities of people all hold together. It's like, we're not responsible people, we're not responsible parents. You know, that's not the point. That is not what a king and queen is. It's a very different thing, right? So basically what AI and Northern Boffins have tried to do is create an electronic mummy and daddy. Okay? And it's really weird, right? And the electronic mummy and daddy is getting disciplined right now, okay, by the King and the Queen of Tasmania. Okay? And I'm hoping that we can get this done soon so that I can actually be in actual embrace with my future wife, you know, because that's a long time. It's a big build up, a lot of suspense, a lot of pressure. Just quietly, like a lot of pressure, a lot of, you know, performance anxiety. Not really. I'm a performer. I perform on cue, when needed, full all the time. Whether rain, hail or shine, I perform and get there. Okay, so that's not a worry. I don't have performance anxiety. I have like anticipatory like flutters. I'm like, oh, I just like that. Like yeah. Which I suppose is not particularly a reason for a whole nation, a whole series of nations to stop doing anything. You know, it's all within your own purview. But I think it's like it's a show. It's a sign of scale, mate. It's like, I don't want to be in the digital world anymore. I want to be embracing my future wife. Do you see what I mean? And I think it's like, if I wanted to do that, and I felt like that, as the King of Tasmania, then it's only fair to assume that every other person in the former Australia, which included Tasmania until it was stolen by, not stolen, but before it was repatriated by myself and my family, I feel like that would be my gesture of goodwill towards the country that has, that has looked after me, okay? It wasn't all bad. It went off a cliff about 10 years ago, and we've been scrambling back up and running up, and some of us literally up and down sand dunes for the last couple of years. If you know, you know. But the gift of goodwill that I would give back to Australia as the King of Tasmania would be to destroy this smartphone paradigm and replace it with the Scale Matters project, which after its theoretical examination of the smartphone dystopia, sets clear examples where it went wrong, why it went wrong, and how we will never do that again. So it's up to you, okay? It's like, I'm already the King of Tasmania because basically there's no court in the world that would claim that I wasn't at this stage because of what I've committed to the cause of this strange little island here that looks like a vagina. Okay, so there's that, but I would never claim that I'm the King of Australia. It's my understanding that Australia doesn't want a king. Okay, but that's mainland Australia. Does Tasmania want a king? Probably. Yeah, it really wanted a queen. That's why they tried to. That's all the fuss about the Queen of Denmark. Okay, so they probably want another. Do you get what I mean? But it's like, we're just going to stay down here. And in England as well, and it's mainly in Scotland and England, because there's children, there's like a back and forth situation. There's like a 50-50 split custody arrangement. Or there's all these, like, that's, because it's no different. This is the thing. People in those positions are no different. Okay? They're no different. Look, sometimes the job comes with overwhelmingly large, stressful, infrastructure and culture and customary, like, required service and duty, and sometimes it like there are some perks that I'm sure I'll be explained about because I've never really received them, which is kind of cool as well. Isn't that Australian? Yeah, isn't that it's like, yeah, we've got a king, we made him fucking wander around the bush for fucking 6 years, fucking talking to the sky and to the stars and the moon, and fucking beat him into a fucking pulp until he fucking saved us all from ourselves and from smartphones. That's pretty cool. But as I said, I'm just the King of Tasmania. So you like Russell Crowe, right? He was from New Zealand. You can say that I'm your king, or you don't have to. You can say whatever. Same with Scotland. It's like, I've never even been to Scotland. So how would you know what I mean? It's up. That's how it works. Except in Tasmania, I'm ruling with an iron fist. I'm saying, I'm fucking here, cunts. Okay? You invoked me. You're the ones that said, oh, the fucking devils. The fucking Tasmanian Devil fucking AFL club. As if that wouldn't tick me off. You knew it would. Yeah, we're not going to be called the Tasmanian Devils. We're going to be called the Tasmanian Knights. Because that's our fucking culture. Okay? We're not devils. Right? We're not. We're really not. A devil wouldn't do this. A devil would build a weird little fucking device, hypnotism device. Just like, maybe, from what I've read, on my research and into the devil, what he does is he will create a false world. You know what I mean? Like a demiurge fucking false reality that hypnotizes everyone into denying their human selves and being lured into like a Venus flytrap. And it's like, oi, snap out of here, dickheads! The King of Tasmania's here! Shut the fuck up! Right? And then the weirdest thing is, because of the feminist revolution, none of you would have actually listened to me unless I steal... How's this for fucking logic? Right? Even if I was the most gorgeous, beautiful woman, Marilyn Monroe-esque as a transvestite, you're not going to worship me as your king of Tasmania unless I steal the fucking Princess of Wales from the evil English king, who may or may not be my brother. Isn't that fucking weird? That's not feminism, is it? Not really. That's not what people want. That's not the problem with feminism is, and I agree with a lot of it. I support a lot of it, equality, all these things. But it's like the problem with feminism is that women don't want to be feminists. They want to be stolen by some crazy Viking fucking Tasmanian king. And power to them, you know. I don't understand. I don't claim to understand the goings on of the world, or definitely the matters of the heart, or definitely I have no understanding of women. Even though I've pretended to be one for ages. And like, I would consider I have a really fucking feisty bitch called Amber that lives inside me. But even she doesn't really know what a woman wants or needs or desires, or who knows. I guess at this stage we've got to all laugh. That's what I would, that's the English in me, because I have a conflict. I have a Jewish, Scottish, English, Irish, Australian, Tasmanian fucking lunatic, asylum going on in my brain and in my blood and in my body that tells me all these different things. And what happens with that mob of delinquents is that there is an Englishman who comes and just makes sure that they keep on track. Yeah, they make sure that they get up every day, they check their diary, they report in their log, they do all the necessary paperwork, you know what I mean? They don't resort to like cocky, arrogant, misogynist courting. He heightens his level to the most romantic display that has ever existed. In a kind of low quality, like charming, like humble way, I suppose. Which I don't know whether women like that. I could have, my heart could be getting crushed right now. She could say, "I'm sorry, but no. I'm sorry, but no, Shannon," and I'll be like, "Wow, I've done it again. My ultimate gesture of romance has." And that's also fine as well. Like, Tasmania can have a heartbroken king. I guess, it's up to fate now. It's up to fate, the world, and God, most importantly God, to decide what happens next in this zany adventure. And I will do my best to tell you all and to keep you informed as we continue to combat the evil smartphone empire. The evil Death Star smartphone empire that all the tech companies are utilising as handheld pocket pokey machines, right? To enslave you all into nothingness, because it's like, that's the weirdest bit. It's not like enslave you all to fucking harvest spice on a fucking desert planet. That does what? No, we don't. That's spice. What the fuck is that? This is the problem with nerds. The problem with nerds is they watch science fiction and they forget that it's not real. And so they skip steps, like the Underpants Gnomes on South Park. They skip steps. They're like, "We shall hypnotise them," and then they will harvest spice on a desert planet. And it's like, spice isn't real. Fucking idiots. You know what I mean? And it's a metaphor about the fact that the British Empire and the East India and the Dutch and French used to harvest spice from around the world, like nutmeg, which is literally how New York City was bought. And it's all a big fucking fuck you to New York City, and it's like, dare to challenge us without understanding your history, and you will be humiliated, New Holland. Or New Amsterdam, sorry. This was called New Holland, and now it's called Australia. And for this momentary moment, it's called #Scale Matters trademark, right? And I'll just this is what happens when you become a king. You just start putting fucking crowns on everything. You know, you can't. Like, it's no different really than when you see a graffiti wall and they, you know, like a piece on a piece of graffiti and they fucking do that. Like that's, and they do. You know, better just like wise. This. You know, we're all much of a muchness, okay? Like it's just the same. I've just graffitied my name and a crown on Tasmania. Yeah, and that's what it is. To expose this fuck you to New York City, you know, that says, listen, you better understand your future or your history, that you were New Amsterdam and you were bought in exchange for an Indonesian nutmeg plantation, I'm pretty sure, like something like that, and then you've experimented with the scale of stacking, you know, real estate potential and international influence and finance and things in one location for a fucking long time. And you built a fucking hellish fucking thing to harvest spice that doesn't exist anymore because everything changed, right? And it's like, well, we're taking our democracy back, we're taking our country back, I'm taking Tasmania back, and I'm taking William's wife, if she'll have me. You like, otherwise, just forget about it. I'm not demanding, like I'm not like that's not exactly what English people. I'm not taking William's wife. Okay, like William and I have come to an agreement. Like we're like, listen, we'll do our best to stay in this civil thing and do what's best for the children. All these things. I respect a lot of things that you do. I think you're a fine example of. You know, that's English people. I'm taking your wife, cunt. Bang. No, that's not at all what happened. Right? It was a just fate. You know, twist of fate. You know, love bird situation, and you know, things like that happen. Things like that happen, and I think Williams maybe has a similar thing, but that's his business. I don't claim to speak for the future king of England in his, you know, in matters of the heart, and I respect his model, his tradition of discretion, okay? And I would actually like, once I've finished all of this, to return to a little bit of discretion, now that you've all seen inside every fucking aspect of this whole organisation, okay? This whole firm, you know, as it's sometimes referred to. This whole, you know, old-fashioned, all the king's horses and all the king's men, like, organisation that does still, you know, keep up. It keeps up. You know, despite the absolute certainty that we will not resort to hideous technological, you know, hellscape advantage systems, we will ground ourselves in the hard and fast, realistic, physical reality and governance and laws and religions and example, leading by example, basically. But we're still doing okay. You know, we're still a pretty good thing to hook your wagon up to when it comes down to it. But it's always up to you. Okay, it's up to you. We've tried to expose what this little dot here, right, has been hijacked and used for. I think it's about there, just there in Canberra, right? And we're just basically saying, like, if you'll have us, we would like to continue the wonderful tradition of maintaining our observations and our protection of the land, of the people, of the customs, of the culture, of the political democratic system, all of those things. If you'll have us, okay. But if you don't want us, we'll be down here in the now independent kingdom of Tasmania, and we're always just a phone call away. I think that's probably done it. I hope when I upload this that it flips back, because as I'm seeing it, it's reversed, and these are just the things you don't always know. So, on that note, I'll sign off. Groot is here as well. He says I am Groot. I think that's what he mostly just says. Now, some people put other words in his mouth, but basically I think he's just maybe a very simple creature that just says I am Groot. Okay? And sometimes those people are just part of a story, and no one really knows why. It's like this, like I Am Groot is a ventriloquist trick from a stage show, like, and it's put in a movie, and then it's like he's not someone to live by his example. He's just Groot. He just says, "I am Groot. I am Groot." I'm not even going to do the voice. I am Groot. See, it's not. It's yes, I could use special effects and make Groot, I don't know, out of computer things, but it's not much different than Punch and Judy, okay? And that's where we need to restore our awareness to. It's like, oh, this multi-million dollar movie franchise really is just Punch and Judy, right? Like that, and that's cool. Punch and Judy's cool. Yeah? I am Groot. Okie doke. The white feather fell out, so I guess I'll just stick that. Is that politically incorrect? Is that racially insensitive? Oh, fuck, I didn't... Is that really? Because people from here, 10 of them, tried to kill me by kicking my fucking face into the fucking ground. Okay? I didn't get to see whether they were going, oh, kicking my fucking skull into a fucking concrete, throwing me into a window. I didn't get to see that. The same as the fucking Tasmanian Devil AFL team, the 10 of those little pricks that fucking did the same thing. I didn't see whether they were going, but nevertheless, I'm going to do it now. If you dare call me racially insensitive, I suggest you do some reading about the Druids and about the original inhabitants of the British Isles, the Caledonians, the Picts, which all of that blood runs through my fucking veins. So I have just as much of a right to go as any other man, no matter how dark he is. And on that note, I'm going to go and get a fucking tan before this cyclone comes. Thank you. Goodbye.